Shujinko, the one-time hero and main character of Mortal Kombat Deception, and someone I like to refer to as the perfect cell of Mortal Kombat. He's a cameo in MK1, but what would a young Shujinko look like in Liu Kang's new era?
I am Shujinko. I am Shujinko. I am called Shujinko. I am Shujinko, champion of the Elder Gods. I am the Elder Gods champion. But I am Shujinko, champion of the Elder Gods.
I am Shujinko. I am the champion of the Elder Gods.
Alright, so I've been asked to do a redesign of Shujinko from Mortal Kombat. Shujinko has always been a fascinating character to me. I don't love him and I don't hate him either. The idea of him being able to learn or replicate fighting styles of his opponents after watching them a single time is interesting, especially for a Mortal Kombat character. This is also the #1 reason why I refer to him as Perfect Cell. For anyone who at this point has never seen Dragon Ball Z before, Cell was a creation of Dr. Gero, who was a blend of all of Earth's best fighters. He also copied their moves after seeing them for the first time. Shujinko is highly similar. This is why he had moves like Scorpion Spear. That, and in the story, Scorpion kinda taught it to him, but you get what I mean. His moveset is one thing, but the character technically learned everybody's fighting styles who he came across. Personally, I was a fan of young Shujinko. I hated his look more and more as he got older, and I was never a fan of his old man design, especially his alternate for that matter. The early 2 or 3 designs were my absolute favorites. I actually think those looks would be perfect in Liu Kang's new era. He is seen in Kung Lao's MK1 ending and is pretty young in this timeline as well. I even think the idea of him being able to replicate other fighters' powers is even more interesting now than it was before. More so because according to Kung Lao's ending, he lost his mind and eventually became not corrupted but somewhat arrogant with his powers. A young, uncontrollable Shujinko sounds cool as hell to me. Also, the idea of him needing to be redeemed in this timeline just like the previous one would be cool too. Just this time it sounds like he has a bit of an edge to him. In Mortal Kombat Deception he was just gullible as hell, but that's another conversation. Also in the previous timeline he was killed by Cassie Cage, but we're just gonna ignore that for now. Anyways, I'm gonna try my hand at making yet another Shaolin Monk design, this time for Mortal Kombat's resident copy fighter. And also like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you haven't. Alright, so I started off with a base pose. The pose used by Shujinko in his MK Deception select render pretty much. A lot of the inspiration for his designs came from all of the ones that he had in Mortal Kombat Deception, and I do mean each and every one of them. I took a little bit of his look from his MK1 appearance, specifically in Kung Lao's ending. Yes, I completely ignored his cameo. I could do away with old man Shujinko at this point, plus it looks too much like Shang Tsung to me. But anyways, I borrowed his belt and sash from his Mortal Kombat Deception designs. I also wanted him to look very different from Liu Kang and Kung Lao in MK1, and I wanted him to have a slight edge to his look. That's why I gave him the half shirt. Something about giving him like something similar to like his last 2 couple of looks in Deception, but just cutting it in half seemed cool to me for some reason that I can't explain. Then the piece on his right shoulder also came from his old man design in Deception as well. I gave him a man bun because pretty much everyone in MK1 has a man bun for some reason, but Shujinko's hair in Kung Lao's ending is slightly different, it's a little longer, so I retained that look here too. The one thing I did at least take from his cameo is his facial features. I actually tried to replicate the facial structure of Shujinko's cameo as much as possible, just gave it less wrinkles. Though I gave him bags under his eyes because I thought it made him look cooler. It is what it is. Then after I got the majority of his design in, I went over it with crisp lines for my line art, and after getting those nice and neat, it was on to coloring him. The color for Shujinko was simple. I had a plan going in already. I wanted to use similar color schemes to his Deception designs, again his last 2. As much as I complained about those, and then those are the ones that I kept biting from the most. But I used stronger greens and golds from his cameo design. I believe his cameo had green in it. But anyways, the green and gold I felt like would be a little different from everyone else in the White Lotus Society. Raiden is blue and white. Kung Lao is black, red, and blue. Liu Kang has all of the previous colors, and then if we want to throw Kai in too, he has maroon. By the way, check out my Kai design. And my Kung Jin design too, as I feel like this color scheme makes him look a lot like Kung Jin if we're being quite honest. After coloring him in, I started to shade him. The shading, being honest, was easy as hell. I absolutely love it when I have characters posed nicely enough to be able to easily figure out where my light source is and how to affect the character. The only special details I had to be concerned with was the shield on his right shoulder and his belt for the most part, just because I added a rope and stuff to it. But after finishing his shading up, which again was simple enough, I started on his highlights. For his highlights, I kind of needed to do 2 passes for them. One was just like a nice light shade, and then the other one was an actual pure white. I didn't need the white everywhere, it's a specular highlight for the most part, but I just needed it on the left side of his body, or I guess his right if you're looking at it from his perspective. The rest I just needed to hit with light coloring in certain spots. It was decent enough. But anyways, after finishing that up, I had this young Shujinko redesign finished. I'll be honest, I'm kind of proud of this design. It's a character that I'm not the most fond of, but I thought this came out pretty well. He reminds me a bit of Kung Jin, and I'm not necessarily mad at that. Considering Shujinko's moveset too, I would be interested in seeing this particular design throw a spear at somebody, or use those crazy Kung Lao kicks that I believe he had from Kung Lao's Deadly Alliance moveset. I believe he had it. But anyways, I'm biased. How do you feel about this redesign, and would you like a main roster comeback for Shujinko and MK1? Again, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and you all have a good one, and I'm out.